How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Blue Shifting and welcome to the Imperial Capital Burns, which I think is actually about to happen. Kyoto is imminently, essentially it's almost on the front lines now. The new defensive barriers have been created. There was like the first line of defense, second line of defense, final line of defense, and then the super final line of defense, which is what I'm guessing we're going to be a part of because we're still technically cadets. But yeah. It's in the title. I mean, we know where this is going to go, so... Oh, man. This isn't going to be fun. I don't know exactly how long this is going to be, and I'm not sure how I'm going to cut it up or take stopping points. I just don't know. If this is building towards a finale, it's probably going to end up being broken up into some parts for the YouTube video-wise. So, we'll see how it goes, but regardless of that, we just got to kind of do what we got to do. Essentially now it's just going to be collection, because now we've kind of got a good perspective on people. Everyone's had their kind of like little moment in the sun about their motivations, about their feelings, about the approaching battle, and yeah, just hope we as many make it through as we can manage. Now, I don't know if it's indicative that I don't recall seeing any of the other characters around Yui in future titles, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because, you know, the world's pretty big. Maybe I'll come up again later. Maybe these are characters that we're gonna be more likely to see in like the day after. I don't know. It just kind of depends on how things play out. So we'll have to just get there when we get there. I guess there's not really much prelude to say other than brace for battle and brace for beta, because that's kind of what this is going to be all about. So here we go. Buckle up. She said, and so this lieutenant, I guess whoever's in charge here, says our mission is to defend the Imperial Army's Arashiyama base down to the last man.
本来この基地は我が近衛と陸軍が共用する帝都鎮守部隊の外郭拠点だ。だが首都防衛計画による所属部隊の全面展開に伴い、首都圏に点在する他の基地や駐屯地同様、臨時補給基地として運用されている。
Okay, so Lieutenant Kisaragi is also probably Royal Guard, because like, I mean, it would kind of make sense. Because like she's not the other instructor, right? Like I'm pretty sure this is a new character.
つまり、京都外郭高地西端に位置する当基地は最終防衛ラインに展開する戦術機構部隊の兵站を一手に司る重要拠点なのだ。
Oh my gosh, could you imagine if you're part of what's called the final defense line and you have to go out? It's like, oh no. Oh, that's such a bad situation.
兵站が軍における生命線である以上、補給基地の警護は重要な任務である。
Alright.
帝都に迫る異星期元首どもの規模と圧力に抗するため、正規戦力のほとんどを前線に抽出した今、貴様ら信任にできることは、この兵站の要衝を守りきることだけだ。
Right. We literally have no one else, so you have to do what you can here. Someone also pointed out that some of the background information is that so the Japanese forces were completely overwhelmed. The typhoon really kind of shook up everything and just led to an imminent collapse of everything. We've already seen we essentially can already know that there have been millions of casualties. And even like large portions of the Japanese Defense Force and the Royal Guard have already fallen. A lot of it to try and hold the ground, trying to protect the civilians and protect the land in the Kyushu area. Despite, I guess the Americans were trying to call, like, because like the American troops are here trying to help, but the Americans are saying like, hey, you need to abandon like these positions. We need to formalize a proper defensive line. They even are saying things, I guess, like wanting to use nukes to try and essentially just buy time so they can organize a proper defensive position. But the Japanese forces rejected all of that. It makes sense. I can understand why. Like having someone unleash nuclear weapons on your homeland, on your own people who are probably still technically alive would be very scary and very like ridiculous, but it also feels like this has spiraled so far out of control that it feels like at this point it's the right call, I guess, in my opinion. It sucks because that's not a call you'd want to make, but this is really bad. And it's gonna just get worse. So, anyway, well, that's some of the background stuff that's going on. I don't know if it'll be brought up officially here or if that's just stuff that comes in the, like, there's like a lore book I own, I've never read because I didn't want to get spoiled on anything. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But thank you for some of the insights you share, especially because they tend to be relevant to the story rather than like a reveal or a spoiler. So, I appreciate it.
実戦経験もない。ましてや協定も満足に終えていない反学徒兵士には過ぎた名誉と言えよう。
Cool. Great.
いいか、校に入るな。自分は足手まといなのだと常に自覚しろ。わかったか？
Sure. Why is this squad here? It's like our squad and Yamashiro. Like, are others here, or are we just focusing on the main characters?
ブリーフィングは以上だ。別名あるまで詰め所で待機。なお、貴様たちの戦域データリンクへのアクセスは制限されている。待機中は通信とバイタルモニター以外機能しないことを肝に銘じておけ。以上、解散。
I wonder why. Are they worried they'll panic if they hear bad news over the comm? Because it seems dangerous to have like a part of your defensive positioning and supply chain to not have access to the data link. But I could understand if you're really worried about morale, to being like, look, like, there's going to be lots of sounds of death and people falling in positions because it's like a beta invasion. And if they're not ready, that could really mess with their minds. But I feel like that's still so risky. Like she said, logistics is like the backbone of a military operation. I think communication's also a backbone. Like it's part of the logistics. So why limit it?
そんなこと言われるために頑張ってきたわけじゃないのに。
Yeah, but the thing is training and combat are very different. Normally, they'd want to, like, slowly introduce you to a combat situations, like, let you have combat, but in, like, as controlled an environment as possible. This is far from controlled.
私たちだって任官したんだ。いつまでも学徒兵呼ばわりするなっての。
In the lieutenant's eyes, even a graduate of the accelerated training course is only worth half a surface pilot, and nothing we can do to change her mind. But her frustration is understandable. As a member of the branch family of House Tokugawa, she must have expected more prestigious assignment. Instead, she's been tasked with babysitting fresh recruits in a rear line base to add insult to injury. It probably will be. I understand that you're probably chomping at the bit here, but come on, like, don't freak out. Izumi's right in a sense. For all we know, we might not even get to sortie. Arishiyama is a rear line supply base. A position like this will only see action if the final defense line collapses. Careful what you wish for. Even in that event, there's no point in enduring a siege against the enemy with overwhelming numbers. If the beta draw near, headquarters will issue the order to withdraw, even if only to preserve our war potential. At the very least, it means we won't have to fight today. Huh. That's the reason why the Defense Force is comprised entirely of freshly commissioned surface pilots like ourselves. Headquarters' thought process is almost too transparent. If you have a bunch of useless recruits, you might as well stick them in the rear. They can get a taste of what the battlefield is like, maybe even gain some experience at no risk to themselves. As a matter of fact, the squadron's commanding officer should have the rank of captain, while its component flights should be led by first lieutenants, but Yamashiro-san and I have been designated as team leaders under the supervision of First Lieutenant Kisaragi, and we're only second lieutenants. In the eyes of the Royal Guard's headquarters, our entire unit's worth about one flight of regular soldiers. Realistically speaking, that's a fair assessment. Not that it really matters. However much the upper brass looks down upon us, I must rise to the occasion and live up to the standards required of a flight commander.
仕方ないよ。如月隊長の言ったことは本当のことなんだし。ゆい。でもそれって時間とか状況とかが原因で私たちがどうこうできる問題じゃないでしょ?
At least, like, it's kind of fun that it's not much, but we're seeing Yui speaking out a bit more. But she still has these really long internal monologues where she has to, like, psych herself up for it.
だから、こうなったのは私たちのせいじゃない。そんなことを気にするのをやめよう。切り替えていこうよ。
God, it's so, like, optimistic of her. Oh, sorry. Aki and Izumi won't change their minds, and it would be fool's errand to try. It won't matter what I say or what evidence I present. People will think whatever they want to think. No, those words were for my own ears. A solemn reminder that as long as I hold the lives of my subordinates in my hands, I must not stray from the righteous path of House Takamura.
そうだね。ちょっと気を張ってたからさ。後方配置で肩透かし食ったんで、ちょっとイラついちゃった。前線で戦っている仙人のためにも、私たちは冷静でいましょう。小規模の取りこぼしが迷い込んでくることだってあるんだから。
Oh, man.
そうだね。いつか必ず必要とされる時が来る。今はその時までやるべきことをやって耐えよう。分かってる。大丈夫だよ。
Good. Good. Because trust me, we don't want to see any. Please. I know it's going to happen. Please. She getting like a drink or something? Seems like I couldn't convince everyone. Izumi's taciturn response in particular is evident. But what could I possibly tell her? What comfort could someone who just lost her fiancé find in my words? Nothing I could say would ever mend the wounds in Izumi's heart. I wish I were like Yamashiro-san. With her attentiveness to the hearts and minds of her subordinates, I wouldn't find myself at such a loss.
ずいぶん落ち着いているのね、高村少尉。山城さん。
She sits out of the darkness.
あなた自身言ってましたわね。小規模戦闘に直面する可能性はあるって。やだ、聞いてたんだ。つまりそれは死の8分に直面するということですわ。なのにその落ち着きぶり。そんなの事前処置を受けているから当然だよ。
Oh, she's talking about the hypnotism.
催眠薬物処置は全員受けていますわ。でもね、どうしても思考はそこに向いてしまう。私の正体も皆極度の緊張と弛緩に苦しみ、ピリピリしていますわ。事前処置。私も同じ。事前処置のせいか、自分の感情に妙に客観的になってしまって。
This is one of those things that's actually really interesting. One of the things I think I'm most lucky about is I would never claim I have the most stable mental state. I think we all have our moments of weakness and strength, and we have times where we might need more help than others. But the one thing I've been decent at has been relatively, like, knowledgeable and be able to acknowledge when I'm having my own issues. I've recognized almost my whole life, I think because my parents, specifically my mom, was really good about, like, talking me through how I was thinking and feeling. And she wasn't like a psychologist or anything. I think she just got people. Because growing up, she would, like, instead, like, when I would throw a tantrum or get upset as a child, she wouldn't just, like, tell me to be quiet or go away. She would actually sit me down and she would ask me, like, what are you feeling right now? Why are you feeling it? And, like, kind of walk me through this process of, like, trying to analyze my own thoughts and what the thought patterns were, like, where they came from and why they were there and what the source of it was. And because of that, I just kind of default go into almost like a self-conditioning type process. It's not perfect, but I often recognize very quickly when I'm in an emotional state where it's becoming more unstable and reasonable. It's meant that part of the reason why I think I've never really had any real altercations with anybody is I never wanted to. Like, I've always been invested in trying to keep people relatively happy. But two, I also think I understand when I feel like resentment, frustration, anger rising inside me. I've always had that kind of like warning flag go up and be like, wait a minute, why are you feeling like this? What's going on? Let's think about this. Let's actually, like, let's cool off a bit. I tend to know I need to back away. I need to step away. I need to get out of this situation. Or if I can't physically get out, I will disconnect from it emotionally, where I'll just kind of stop engaging for a little while and kind of just remove myself from it mentally. And that usually gives me the breathing room to think. I imagine it could be very frustrating if you feel like you really, really need to talk to me about something, but I usually don't do that unless I feel like I'm in a state where nothing real productive is going to be happening anymore in that part of the conversation. It's really interesting to describe it because I thought it was pretty normal, but apparently it's not that normal to kind of automatically jump into that type of mental pattern. Again, it's not that I'm perfect or have this like monk-like ability to control my emotional states. I just think I was taught from very young to question my emotional state and try and work them out. And so yeah, I think Yamashiro might be very similar, where she's analyzing herself constantly. Now her drive seems to be a lot more like push, be perfect. Or mine was just more about like safety and stability. But I feel like I can resonate with her a little here.
後方配属に安堵している気持ちを見つけて、情けない思いを冷静に噛み締めているところですの。
No, you're absolutely right. It's not shameful because you haven't had any experience, and this is a chaotic situation. The last thing we want is to throw fresh recruits into the field and to the fray when they have such little experience. It's just going to make things worse, not better. If this were a proper battle line where, like, you know, we had a lot more established, like, procedures and defenses and kind of there's no such thing as a stable battlefield, but there's a lot more logistically stability you can have, and right now we just don't see much of that, and that's not the great time for you all to go and get your first battlefield experience if you could avoid it. So even someone like Yamashiro-san feels that way.
別に私だって同じだよ。不安だらけだし。
そう見えないのはあなたの覚悟がさすがということかしらね。
そんな買いかぶりすぎだよ。
Yamashiro-san just praised me. Well, it makes me happy. Deep down, I can't help but feel like I don't come close to her level. How am I supposed to react? Okay, so this is another one where it's like, I think it's giving me the opportunity to like reflect on a memory or skip it. But we're gonna think about it. Think about the pre-battle treatment.
実戦任務に就く兵士のほとんど、新任は全員出撃前に処置を受ける。
Right.
恐怖心や戦死者への干渉など、実戦において兵士が経験する激しい感情変化は適度であれば士気高揚につながる。だが得てしてそれは合理思考を妨げ、作戦行動に支障をきたす。
I like that. She's got. I like that's a good explanation of it. She's like saying, "Look, it's not that the emotions are bad. They could actually be good and helpful. But the problem is they're so volatile. It adds another like weak point to a what are often very critical battle situations. And it's like the risk is just not worth it."
そのような感情の振り幅を戦術薬物で抑制し、それを超える精神的混乱、錯乱や強行を誤催眠暗示によって制御する。それが事前処置である。
Interesting. So they narrow the spectrum with drugs, which we actually already have. Like that's what a lot of like some medications will do, is they limit the extremes of and ranges of emotions, and then the post-hypnotic suggestion.
これは極端な感情の起伏のみをノーマライズするため、状態で無感情になることはない。感情を完全に抑えることはむしろ不利益だからだ。だが本来の性格傾向が強調されるという副作用がある。
Oh, interesting. How's that work? Your innate personality traits will be emphasized. Like, is that part of the post-hypnotic hypnotism? And how do they identify that? Is it just a natural, like, occurrence, or do they actually psych profile you and try and bring out the best of you?
その発言や程度は効果の個人差や精神状態の影響が著しい。だが任務遂行に問題を発生させるほどではないとされている。
Interesting.
ただし兵士が処置による制御状態となった場合、外見的には無感情傾向が顕著となる。そのため第三者には 己を律して冷静に行動しているかのように認識される。
Now, what that sounds like to me, it sounds like the post-hypnotic suggestion has an effect on the, like, subconscious level, which is exactly what it's supposed to do, but, like, to the point where people are likely not communicating through their face. Humans communicate with their facial muscles, like, a lot. Like, that's where a lot of our emotion is. And heck, I'm sure it's, like, from survival and genetics. Being able to have a conversation with somebody who can't speak your language on just a very fundamental level is really important. So being able to, like, read and recognize a face and the emotions is built into our DNA. And it's even, like, part of our eyes. A lot of animal eyes they have, like, whites around, like, their iris, but their iris tends to be much bigger because there's just really no benefit to showcasing anything specially there. So, like, usually it's to gain a better range of motion for the dilation, you know, for different lighting conditions. But humans have a small iris that allows us to see the whites of our eyes, and the biggest advantage that they hypothesized that this provided for our species was it makes it easier for us to see from a distance where someone's looking, and it can tell you a lot too. So if the post-hypnotic suggestions are working on the subconscious, part of the manifestation of that is that your facial tics are suppressed and just don't respond. So how you feel isn't reflected on the way you look because of the suggestion. So from the outside, you just come off as, like, cold, composed, disciplined. When inside, you could be an absolute mess.
その際、制御下にある A 氏の主観は感情自体は認識しながらもそれを客観視する状態となる。例えるなら映画で感動しおえつしている自分の映像を見ている状況だ。
We could actually do that here. I've done this, like, a couple times. I usually don't watch myself. I have to watch myself enough when I'm editing. So, I mean, I usually have to watch a video a few times through the editing process. So it'd be silly for me to just bring it up, but occasionally, kind of like a journal, I like to go back to some of the old videos and maybe some of my favorite moments, or to go and try and remind myself of a particular scene that I was thinking about but couldn't quite remember. And a good example is in the finale of Unlimited, because it just was such an emotional, like, devastating peak for me. I just wasn't expecting how emotional that ending was going to make me, and so watching it happen, I get that experience of seeing a video of yourself watching a movie that moves you to tears. I can literally do that on this channel in a few places.
その観察対象への嫌悪、憎悪などが原因となり、バッドトリップと呼ばれる激症反応が発現するケースがある。
高村さん、正規配属で離れ離れになる前に正直に言っておきますわ。
Okay. Why would you need to be... What... I'm, like, kind of nervous. Like, what's she gonna say? Like, I always hated you. What's this about? Why is she standing on ceremony with me?
あなたはあの3人を、いえ、自分以外のものを心の中でバカにしている。
Oh, that's almost worse, actually.
いいえ、見下していると言った方が正しいかしら。
Oh no, that is... I think she's not wrong, though. Like, Yui is a very compassionate, but she thought over and over again about, the trials of being Takamura. Is it Takamura? Maybe I'm misremembering her name, because, you know, it's a brain farting moment. But she always think about, like, oh, look at them. They don't have the same struggles as me. Why are they so, like, flippant? Why are they so dismissive? But, like, she always kind of kept it in, like, a compassionate, like, oh, well, you know, they have their own lives, they have their own problems, but maybe beneath all of that, there was just a level of pride, a level of, like, I wish they had the drive I have. I wish they reflected things the way I do and were willing to, like, stand up for themselves the way I feel like I can. And that is that could be bad, especially if she wouldn't communicate it very well.
山よりでのあなたを見ていて、私にはそう思えてならなかったわ。
That's me. Called out. I think others don't have what it takes? I hold others in contempt? That's preposterous. Not now, not then. That's not who I am. Rather, it's me who's been on the receiving end time and again. That's the thing, though. It's like, has it only been you? That's the problem. It's like she might think that every bit of scorn and ridicule and divisiveness has been directed at her, but maybe it wasn't just directed at her. Maybe she didn't see when they also were facing the same things. She's like, oh boy. Wait, shouldn't her accusations upset me? Why am I so calm? Is it because of the hypnotic suggestions?
どうしてそう思ったのかな。
Oh, that doesn't sound like a psychopathic answer at all.
以前の私にそっくりだったからですわ。
Yamashiro-san and I are alike. No, that's impossible.
蛇の道は蛇とでも言うのかしら。
Oh man.
無邪気すぎる同世代の言動に辟易としながら距離を置いて生きてきた。あなたからはそういう匂いを嗅ぎ取れましたの。
I don't like this. This feels wrong because again, I really relate to this, and I wonder if for me it came from a. Have I been seeing others with contempt? Because growing up, I always kept everyone at arm's length, even my closest friends. Like I might confide in them, sure, but like I never ever felt like anybody ever got to really understand the real me. I always thought it was based on this like incorrect idea that nobody would like the me I was, that I needed to keep my inner self hidden because who would want to know me or be around me anymore? Like it was a self-deprecating type of feeling, like I'm not good enough, or I'm like scared of being judged for what I'm actually thinking. But I also never felt too poorly about myself. Like I was always decently confident, maybe not in every situation, but I was always confident enough. I was confident enough to do what I need to do. So what if it was a bit more like Yamashiro and what Yui apparently are doing? I wonder if I've always been like that. Because even today, I still think that 99% of people in my life have no idea who I actually am. I might need to think about this.
そんな人に出会ったのは生まれて初めて。とても興味を持ちましたわ。
So back then, that was nothing more than a facade. Back when we ran into each other at the convenience store, Yamashiro-san brought a copious amounts of monstery jari to share with her squad. She did it because she cares about her subordinates, a small token of appreciation out of consideration for them. At least that's how it seemed to me. However, if the person I admire has indeed revealed her true self to me, she has elevated seizing other people's hearts and minds into an art form. Oh, so she's saying, oh wait, maybe Yamashiro was simply a clinical manipulator. So that's why Yamashiro-san used to spend her breaks alone. She only felt at peace when she didn't have to keep up the facade. Yamashiro-san was so focused on her path of self-improvement that she wouldn't let anyone come close to her heart, not even her fellow squad mates. I remember feeling a sense of overwhelming defeat as I looked at her aloof and unyielding figure. If she speaks the truth, I may have been the one holding Aki and the others back.
でもあなたはいい子ちゃんの仮面をずっとかぶっていましたわね。
Right.
そのせいで不当な評価を被っても、あなたはずっと平気な顔をしていた。それはまるで自分に一部でも非があるなら、相手の理不尽は全て受け入れるとでも言いたげで。
This conversation did not go where I thought it was gonna go. Why is it so intense? Like, I thought you two were friends. But maybe that's the idea, is like talked about a bad trip. It was saying this idea that like maybe part of one of the downsides to the post-hypnotic suggestions and the drugs is that it kind of rips away the reason to have any decorum. It's like, oh, even if even if they weren't so inclined, people who are usually going to be socially irresponsible. But with these drugs, maybe that just takes that facade away, and people are just like, I'm just gonna say what I want to say.
愚かな美学に酔っているかのようでもあって、私にはそれが
Oh.
とても痛々しく見えました。
Gosh, she's being so brutal. She's kind of right. I think she is. Like, Yui obviously didn't do any of this intentionally, but Yui had such pride in her family name and this, like, it's almost like, what? There's got to be a term for it. I swear I've heard something along the lines of, like, the pride of the persecuted. Someone thing, but like, oh, my life is hard, but it's because I'm good, and I have to prove myself because I can't fail. Like, it's this idea of, like, presumption that Yui's like, I have to be the best. I have to prove that, like, it is. But it wasn't like I need to improve myself to get to that level. It was, I'm at that level. I just need to show it. Interesting.
だから私が助けて差し上げようと思いましたの。あなたと部を競い合うことでね。
Even then, she was like manipulating.
そして確信しましたわ。模擬戦の後、あなたがタオルを貸してくださったあの時に。
Okay.
ああ、やっぱりこの人は私と同じなんだわってね。
That's what the smile was about.
だってあんな時間に強化装備のまま校舎裏にいる理由なんて限られてますもの。特に私たちのようなものはね。
Thinking back, everything makes sense now. Every time Yamashiro-san looked at me with those eyes, there was no malice or hatred in that cold glance of hers. There was only pity and a strong sense of determination.
高村さん、私はね、山城家に悪意を向ける多くの者たちを見返すために、今まで我が身を研ぎ澄ましてきたの。
But you've held yourself back. She's right, we're one and the same.
私の家にまつわる噂話はご存知でしょ？経済大名や成金などと揶揄され、山城の者は皆必死で武を磨きますの。
Oh my gosh, it is the same. It's like almost word for word the same. Like, it's just slightly different circumstances, but like the family rumors being constantly hounding them and their response to just be so good at what you do to prove them wrong. The philosophy's even the same. Much like me, Yamashiro-san's sights were set beyond her immediate surroundings. To protect the honor of our respective houses, that was our motive, different from everyone else's.
だから私も中等部までは全教科で首席を取り続け、それを鼻にかけることな
Oh my
く、
gosh.
皆に対してもいい子ちゃんを演じきりましたわ。
I've been saying that this whole series. I feel like Yui's just not saying what's on her mind. She's always just keeping it in, and she's like in a way sheltering her team. I was saying this from like episode 1, but it's weird how the context of this situation really is making it feel like a whole different ballgame. It's a different expression of the exact same thoughts that have been plaguing me from day 1 of this series. That's actually kind of cool.
山城をバカにする者たちに、山城より劣ることを身をもって思い知らせる。それが私の、いえ、山城に生まれた者が背負う復讐でしたの。
Revenge. Revenge. Is that what I've been seeking all along? Revenge. Kinda. No, I refuse to accept that. I think it's not true revenge. It's not like I'm going to beat you down and prove you wrong revenge. It's I'm going to stand on top of the mountain and look down upon you and be like, who's the fake? Is it me or you down there amongst the stones and rocks at the bottom? I am the king of the hill. Labor in silence, let our deeds inspire the hearts of men. That's what I've been told all my life. But that's the thing. It is a kind of revenge. It's a kind of revenge that's quiet. And technically, I think one of the more appropriate. But the motivation is, like, prove them wrong. Let your actions speak for themselves. It's saying, don't get in squabbles with them, but the motivation is very clear. Whenever Yamashiro-san said I've lived through in the past, I don't share her experiences and I don't share her perspective. Revenge is not nor never will be the way of Takamura.
もちろん二人の兄も山城のものとして生きましたわ。私はその背中を藩として追うのに必死でしたけれど。
Yamashiro. Have we seen her brother somewhere? Maybe. I don't know.
山城さん、お兄様方が？
ええ。二人とも近衛の大陸派兵に志願し、
Oh, wow.
戦死してしまいましたけれど。
What? Really?
そうだったの。お気の毒に。
それがおかしいんですの。
おかしい？
その時私は二人の兄を失った時気づいてしまいましたの。
I'm not sure why I'm hesitating so much, but it's something I have to ask.
気づいたって何を？
Yeah, I got. What is happening? Sense of dread again, like I'm about to stare into the abyss.
私気づいてしまいましたの。自分自身
Oh
が
my
戦う理由、
gosh.
何も持っていなかったってことに。
It just comes right back around. It's like the eternal pillar of all Muv-Luv is why do you fight? Like, why do you fight? Every single story. How are they all so good when it always circles around this exact same problem every time?
身内の死というごく個人的な動機ができて初めてそれに気づくなんて情けないにも程がありますわね。それ以来いい子ちゃんの仮面は捨てましたの。戦う理由を手に入れた私にはもう必要のないものでしたし。
Interesting. And we know Yui drops the act too, so I wonder if she actually like learns from this.
そうなんだ。
I was under the impression that Yamashiro and I were similar. The sense of empathy, as well my feelings of envy, a manifestation of my shortcomings, were proof enough. But if this is the real her, free from any pretense, does this mean I am the same way as well? Could her words explain why I don't know how to console Izumi in her moment of grief? Because much like the Yamashiro-san of days past, I don't have a cause to call my own?
ごめんなさい。余計な身の上話に付き合わせてしまいましたわね。
別にそういうの大丈夫だから。
Yui, you're not being honest right now. She's gone out of her way to really go after you and really kind of challenge your own way of thinking. I think you might owe it to her and yourself to actually say what's on your mind.
私も事前処置にバッドトリップしているのかしらね。
Maybe. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing in this case, though. Utter silence.
さあ、あなたはどうかしら。
Almost as if she's prodding me for an answer.
私はそういう山城さん、やっぱりすごいなって思う。
I almost would be like, no, what's actually going on in there? Like, be like, that's the nice answer. What's the real one?
本当素直に尊敬する。私が同じだなんて、なんかおこがましいよ。全然似ても似つかないよ。私はそんな大層なものじゃなくて、もっと薄っぺらいっていうか、なんかすごく鈍感なのかも。
Nah, it's so, I don't know, it's weird. It really, like, it felt kind of flaky before when she gives these kinds of answers, but now, having just heard all that, like, I get it. Like, it's not like you're just gonna embrace a brand new ideal or be able to just fully, like, throw yourself into a psychoanalysis of somebody else about you and what you are wrong about yourself about. Like, that's heavy stuff, but come on, Yui. Even you can't see. Like, this feels so hollow. It just feels hollow. Even the way she delivers the lines, the way they were written, it feels like a checklist of like the things you're supposed to say when someone gives you a compliment, rather than actually what she's thinking. She's looking at me with such kind eyes. I wonder when it was that she stopped giving me that look I mistakenly interpreted as contempt. Our relationship must have evolved at some point. Yamashiro-san wouldn't confide in someone who inspires only pity. She's bearing her soul to me, and much to my shame, I couldn't respond in kind. I didn't lie to her, but I didn't tell her the entire truth either. To be frank, I myself don't quite know how I feel. I was being honest with her in a sense. But now that Yamashiro-san has revealed her real self to me, I'm hopelessly confused. Thanks to the pre-battle treatment, I'm supposed to be rational at all times, but there's a fog in my mind that just won't clear. This is the first time in my life I found someone among my peers I can honestly speak my mind with. I used to think I was the odd one out, but after my conversation with Yamashiro-san, I finally realized I'm not alone. There's someone out there who shares my worries and my ambitions. That alone fills me with joy. Someday, I'll surely reveal to her what lies inside my heart, the whole truth, without any embellishments. But today's not that day. Are you gonna have another day, though? I'm sorry, Yamashiro-san, I need more time to process my thoughts. First, I need to come to terms with my own feelings, find my own way to articulate what drives me. Yamashiro-san's words shook me out of my complacency. I'm glad we met. I'm truly grateful to her from the bottom of my heart. So just like that day when I took the first step in our lives intertwined. I will keep walking with every step I take, bringing us closer together until the day comes when I can lay my soul bare to you.
ねえ、山城さん。
何かしら。
What I'm about to do must be no small part thanks to the hypnotic measures.
私たち、
What is about to happen here? What's gonna? I'm gonna tell you right now. I have no idea. Literally no idea. Usually I have a decent idea what's gonna happen. Is she gonna say like something like, "I've always hated you," like being super crazy out of the blue, like vitriol? Is she gonna say, I look forward to like fighting with you on the battlefield"? You know, something very cliche. Is she gonna kiss her? I have no idea.
私たち
Oh. Gosh darn it.
そろそろ
Why am I disappointed?
名前で呼び合わない？
Oh my gosh. I must be blushing up to my ears. And the silence is only making it worse.
そうね。心を通わせた者同士であれば、名前を呼び合うのも悪くないですわね。
Okay. What does that mean? A deeper emotional bond. Come to think of it, Yamashiro-san calls everyone by their family names. That means I would be special to her.
でも、やめておきましょう。
Aww. I knew it. Of course she wouldn't agree outright. That was too forward of me. Well, to be fair, you also didn't agree outright with her proposals. So, both of you just maybe needed more time.
まったく、自信家なのか忘れっぽいのか。私たち、まだ初陣前ですのよ。そういう約束は縁起が悪いと相場が決まっていますわ。
Oh, okay. That's not too bad then.
だから。
She did say for now, didn't she?
でもいつか、そう呼び合える日が来るといいですわね。
Aww. Okay, that's sweet.
山城さん。
What a relief. For a moment, it seemed she was entirely against the idea. Good thing I was administered pre-battle treatment. I would have lost all presence of mind otherwise. But once again, her words had me thinking about the difference in our mindsets. She didn't actually say this out loud, but the question is on both of our minds whether we will survive the 8 minutes of death or not. We stand at a critical juncture. Our first battle could happen at any moment, and yet here I am, lacking any sense of urgency. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I fail as a squad leader, why I can't properly connect with Aki and the others. Though I must say, it's rather surprising to see Yamashiro-san pay heed to superstitions. Perhaps a healthy dose of wariness helps her maintain her attention and self-discipline. Or maybe she actually opened up to me. Yamashiro-san, a model of composure and an honest-to-God prodigy, is actually worried about tempting fate. Surely that's one aspect of her personality not many others know.
やっぱり今日はあなたも私も変ですわ。事前処置の影響、バカになりませんわね。
Or they're just simply a great pretext to saying what you've always thought without feeling like you can be wholly responsible. Kinda like if people get a little buzz from drinking. Not like it's necessarily out of character. It's usually just kind of removing the shackles of just self-restraint. And the downside being that you can remove those shackles so far, you start making really idiotic decisions. But I can see that sometimes there is a benefit to just letting people just relax and letting them take their shields down a little bit. Maybe be more vulnerable, take that gamble emotionally, because that could be really healthy.
訓練期間の検査だって実戦強度だったのにこんな風にはならなかった。やっぱり精神状態や状況の影響が大きいのかもね。
そうですわね。もともと効果や影響に個人差が出やすい不安定な技術だから。
Yeah. Remember Takuru's response, like when they gave him a hyperdose during like the middle of the crisis when like the training got interrupted by Beta breaking out of the lab? And instead of like calming him down, he went into like psycho mode. Of course, he also became freaking powerful, which were they implying that at that point it was already like him drawing on his previous lives, or was he just always that latently strong at TSF piloting? I don't know if they ever clarify that.
それにしても、能登さんのあの様子心配ですわ。事前処置が悪い方に出ていなければいいけれど。
Yeah, I think we should be worried about that too, actually. Izumi and Aki are both, like, I worry about both of them pretty severely. I'm nearly nervous about how they're going to play out, things are going to play out with them.
そうだね。いろいろあったばかりだからね。
A surface pilot's vital data is remotely monitored via data links at all times. If there's something abnormal about Izumi's condition, the first lieutenant should be able to take measures while we're still on standby. Then again, assuming Yamashiro-san was Izumi's flight leader, would she just stand by? How would she act as acting as commander handle someone in a similar situation?
ごめんなさい。せっかく一人になれたところに長々とお邪魔してしまいましたわね。
そんなことないよ。こちらこそ気を使わせちゃってごめんなさい。
私は先に戻ってますわ。
See ya.
山城さん、ありがとう。
まだ1日目。長くなりそうですわね。
Oh yeah.
人は自分がそう思いたいようにしか理解しない。だから一つ一つを考えすぎたり気にしすぎたりしなくていいんだ。
I mean, you say that, but at the same time, I think the Yamashiro has things pretty down right. Like, again, having that kind of pride and looking down on others isn't necessarily a manifestation of like a maliciousness. It can simply be a manifestation of feeling like you have to be better, or you have to work harder, or you have to like that you're some kind of exception. I think that it inevitably leads us all to feeling a little bit like that, and it's a different severity for different people. I worry, based on that communication, the way she was expressing, that I might be a lot more in line with this type of like self-aggrandizing or like looking down on other people, because it doesn't come from like oh, I'm big, you're small, I'm right, you're wrong kind of attitude. It's more of a like, you couldn't possibly understand how I feel, and thus I can understand how you feel, And that, I think that's the level of superiority that I think that Yamashiro was suffering from, Yui is suffering from, and maybe I am too. I don't think it's as bad though, because I also am very self-critical. I don't think very highly of myself by default. I feel like it was worse before. It's a lot better now where like the fact I can make YouTube content is a good example of, like, I feel confident in certain aspects, but I also feel very inconfident, or is that a word? Inconfident? No, that can't be right. Unconfident? I guess, I don't know. They both sound kind of off to me. English is failing me. I don't feel content with my own capabilities, and I want to improve myself constantly. But again, so is Yui, and I think that Yamashiro's right about her analysis of her. So I think maybe I need to spend some more time reflecting on this as well. At the same time, Tokyo, second imperial capital of Japan, crisis management center, prime minister prisons.
このオプションはないと総理は言ったはずだ。何を今さら。
Oh, is this actually going to bring up the atomic weapons?
派遣されている第7艦隊司令の個人的な配慮です。
個人的な配慮？
かねてから親交のあるこちらの八雲長官宛てに内々に通達がありました。無論本国の命を受けてのことでしょうが。
Admiral Kuze. That sounds familiar. Oh, I know why it sounds familiar. It's because in Yakuza, Kuze is one of the repeated battles. I'm sure we've all heard of it before too, because it's not like it's like an unusual name per se, for especially for like media. But like, I hear Kuze and I just hear Kiryu. I don't know why it took me so long to get to that name. I kept thinking of Majima. I was like, it's not Majima. It's not Majima. Kiryu is going, Kuze!
第7艦隊司令、久世提督か。ふん。日系人を使った皮肉の間違いではないのか。
Oh, you shut up. This is life or death. You can't be hung up on a Japanese American doing their dirty work.
久世提督の父親は確か第442連隊か。
はっ。流血をもってアメリカへの忠誠を証明した日系人の末裔です。
その血を継ぐ者が同胞の未来のために流血を伴う救済策を携えて先祖の国に帰ってきた。
それを皮肉と言うんだ。
未曾有の天災が重なったことは誠に悲運。ですがこうなった以上、現戦況を覆す手段を講じなければなりません。レーザー属種以上の脅威は押し寄せるベータの物量。このまま京都が陥落すれば、東海、いや、関東まで一気に押し込まれることになるでしょう。
What's really insane to me about this is that not only they're going to have to retreat from Kyoto, they're going to have to retreat past Kanto. They're going to lose essentially Tokyo, and to the point where the beta established a hive there. Like, that's how far south this goes. That's the insanity for me. Because I know hives... I know that the asteroids bring like kind of a proto hive, so it's like starts with the engine ready to go. But the development of a ground-based hive, I guess I don't know enough about the process off the top of my head, but doesn't it take a while? Like for at least a stage 1 or stage 2? Like not like incredible amounts. Like they make them like freaking crazy compared to like how if we like humanity couldn't build a structure that big in the amount of time a beta can, but it still is like a time-consuming thing. So the fact that they get that far and can even establish a hive is crazy to me.
台風4号とベータの猛威によって引き裂かれ、麻痺した防衛体制。ベータ支配地域に孤立し、抗戦を続ける多くの部隊。その補給と兵隊による海軍の損耗。
So I want to say, like, I are they confident that their troops are currently isolated but alive? That would make me hesitant to use a nuclear option, because it's like, if you know they're still alive and fighting, nuking them feels really bad. But like, do they know? I feel like if the beta had pushed this far ahead, that likely behind the lines, things are already done. That there really is no fight anymore.
我が軍は早急に体制を立て直す時間を稼がなければならないのです。
それは百も承知だ。だが、
朝鮮半島南端はすでに重レーザー種の照射圏に飲み込まれ、候補地とはなり得ない。長官、北九州がそうなってからでは手の打ちようがありません。軍事的にはもちろん、国際政治的にもです。極東防衛の要を謳いながら、たった数日で国土の3分の1を明け渡し、軍事的混乱を続ける我が国への失望。諸外国に限った話ではないでしょう。国内世論もさることながら、与党内部にも公然と政府を非難する者たちが。
Okay, counterpoint. If the beta destroy all of Japan, then none of that matters at all. Feel like we should be prioritizing survival when it's literally on the line?
そんなことは分かっている。
Doesn't sound like it to me. Feel like he's talking to me.
だが、敵の支配地域には未だ多くの友軍部隊と逃げ遅れた国民が残っているんだぞ。最前線では多くの将兵が戦っているんだ。それを。
滝本さん、総理を説得できるのはあなたしかいない。すでに各国から日本の対応に非難が出始めている。オセアニア諸国が帯同するのも時間の問題。そうなれば
日本は単独の継戦能力を失うことになるか。
今我々が国土を失えば、日本が整備した海外インフラは諸外国の管理下に置かれ、日本以外の戦いのために使われることになるでしょう。それは榊首相も望んでいないはずだ。
I do get it, though. They don't want to lose the autonomy they have. That's a rare commodity in this world, and they want to keep it. I really do get that. It's a really good thing to try and to maintain, because falling into the fold of just another, like, becoming a vassal state, just, I mean, that's not very appealing, nor is it very good considering what's on the horizon for either Alternative 4 or 5. So yeah, I understand that, but good grief, man, like, your people are dying right now.
滝本さん、あなたと私は同期当選。同じ1年生議員の釜の飯を分け合った仲じゃないか。あんたが腹を切るときは一人では行かせない。総理を説得してくれ。お願いします。
候補地は。
滝本さん、ありがとう。
まだ納得したわけではない。候補地の説明を。
いくつか案がある。まずは小倉だ。今時侵攻における最大の上陸継続地点であり、九州と中国地方の侵攻分岐点だ。次に倉敷と尾道、四国への侵攻分岐点。戦況次第では鳴門も候補になる。基本的に今の2案を中心に情勢次第でオプションを検討というのが現時点での考えだ。
Yeah, that's tough, because it's like, so essentially from, like, I'm just getting, it's just cursory knowledge, but the idea is saying, all right, the first target is bombing the main landing site where the majority of the clump of currently arriving beta hordes are. Makes sense striking there. If you can get a nuke that can land and actually detonate, it might provide some relief to the front lines, albeit in like an hour. Like, it just, the streams of endless beta would just slow down or stop for a little while. The other idea is sending nukes to maybe choke points, currently close to the engagement sites. Riskier, But if it can give some immediate relief, it can also potentially provide a kind of buffer, like a natural wall. Remember, like that's what the Red Line was all about. It was like using like insane amount of nukes throughout Alaska to essentially just make a new coastline. You could essentially do that with like some of the land that is, you know, either directly connecting by a small isthmus or maybe even just shallow water. Just create a new channel that just gives you more time to build up defenses, and could be a more long-term solution, as it would literally help start making natural barriers that at least slow down the beta.
わかった。やれるだけやってみよう。
すまない、滝本さん。
I feel sorry for you too, Takamura.
だが、総理は第三の道を決断する場合もある。その際は、よろしく頼みます。
Oh?
八雲長官。
What's that? Appealing for aid, giving up sovereignty completely?
は、必ずや。たとえこの手でルーズベルトを沈めることになろうとも、必ずやアメリカの核攻撃を阻止してご覧に入れます。
Okay. So the strikes they're discussing wouldn't be nuclear strikes. What are they supposed to be then? Like, or maybe it's like, we'll do it ourselves, like use our own nukes, rather than let the United States do it.
それもまた皮肉な話だな。前大戦より数十年、そう同じくする盟友同士が、
Interesting.
この国で矛を交えることになるのか。
It's insane to me. I get it, but it's also, isn't it kind of insane that while being invaded by Beta, in a world where the Beta have eradicated over half of humanity, the thought of like the United States using nuclear weapons is so adverse to them that they are saying they're contemplating going to war with America over this issue. Like going to war during a Beta invasion. That's crazy. I get it, but it's crazy. Several hours later. Service pilot ready room, Arashiyama base. Oh boy. Doesn't look like things are going good.
お聞きになって。
Huh?
敵の前衛が突出して西ヶ岳付近まで迫っているそうですわ。西ヶ岳だって。
Oh no.
目と鼻の先じゃない。
That's real bad. Yamashiro-san said to Lieutenant Kasiragi, it was with Lieutenant Kasiragi when the schedule situation update came in. Her information must be highly accurate.
帝都絶対防衛圏の災害核が接敵して。
Oh no.
数時間しか経ってい
Oh,
ない
that's
のに。
really bad. Oh, that's really bad. So they set up the defensive lines, right? And they launched the attack. And in a few hours, the Beta have gone so close that they're actually being detected at the barrier, at the outer reaches of the ultimate, absolute defense line. That must mean that the other defense lines don't exist anymore. Or at least they're crumbling.
この短時間で3つの防衛ラインが突破されたか。最良の可能性でも一部がほころんだということでしょう。
Thank you for so eloquently restating what I was fumbling. Yeah. Something unbelievable is unfolding right before our eyes. I can feel it.
泉、待って泉、どこに行くんだよ。泉。
Oh, great.
泉、待って。
Oh no, why is she running away? Is she experiencing a bad trip? No, she's gonna go to the pilot. She's gonna jump at her TSF. The entranceway is up ahead. There's a terrace on the other side, enclosed by a fence, but still, she climbs it. She'll be 40 meters above the ground. A fall from that height would be fatal, fortified suit or not.
泉。
What the fetch was that? Why am I so calm? Did she just inject us with drugs? My heart's telling me I desperately need to stop Izumi from doing something she'll regret, but my mind assumes that my role of a mere spectator watching a scene from a movie. And as I see it now, so that's what it feels like when the pre-battle treatment's working.
見て、ユイ。あれは。
Oh my gosh. A fire burning in the distance? What's going on?
何あれ。なんであんなに燃えてるんだよ。
That's a lot closer than 100 kilometers.
変だよ。近すぎるよ。最終防衛線はどうしたのよ。あいつらが 来ているのよ。
Oh, she's so happy. Oh, that's terrifying.
見てよユイ。忠道を殺した奴らがすぐそこまで来てる。
Oh, Azumi, that's not good. You're not in a... We need to get her out of here. She's just gonna get herself and maybe us killed if she goes into battle like that. There's not just a hole or two in the defensive line. The entire thing is coming apart at the seams.
なお貴様たちの戦域データリンクへのアクセスは制限されている。待機中は通信とバイタルモニター以外機能しないことを肝に銘じておけ。
This is why we were only granted restricted access to the data link to keep us in the dark.
おいあれ。どうやら戦術機のようですわね。
Oh.
補給？いえ。
I know what's gonna happen here. Laser. Not sure. SOP is to resupply as a full flight, not elements, but assuming she's right. Our forces wouldn't rely on messengers unless the theater-wide data link was compromised somehow. General communications vital sign monitors seem to be working as intended, which means the data link in the vicinity of the base should be online.
帝国の77式だ。あれでもなんかあれボロボロじゃんか。
Oh no. Oh, it's the alarm! Clear the runway.
消防車。
The lights are on, the sirens are blaring, and those TSFs are going to execute an emergency landing. Get out of there!
なんか燃えてない？緊急着陸よ。危ないから詰め所に戻っ。
Oh, I was right. Oh, the laser are that close. Oh, we're freaking screwed. I only took one shot. Lasers are that close. Sortie, we need to go. Just like that, they're gone. Almost like a sparkler fizzling out. Condition red, here we go.
中隊規模ベータ軍接近。西南西距離約1万4000。待機中の全員士出撃準備。繰り返す。中隊規模ベータ軍接
Come on, that alarm.
近。西南西距離約1万4000。待機中の全員
いつからだろう。聖者が死者の数を数えるのをやめたのは。この世界は本当に滅びの道を歩んでいるのだろうか。
Oh man. Wait, this poem. I've heard it somewhere before. It's the hypnotic. She's panicking. She's literally having a panic attack, and it's that poem. The poem that Takamura heard too. Oh, I knew I recognized it too. When did the living stop counting the dead? Is the world really heading down the path of destruction? Yeah, it's a famous writer from the Cold War. What was his name again? That's weird. Why did his words spring to mind just when the beta are upon us? Yep. I know it's violent, and I know this is a crappy place, but we're ending it here. Oh man. Okay, hang on. Let me just do this real quick. There we go. We're gonna pick that up next time. Oh boy. Oh, let's kick it off. I think it's a tough cliffhanger, but at the same time, it's a good place to end it because we're gonna be jumping right into the thick of it next week. So, oh man. I thought we were actually gonna get to a state like this earlier. I didn't realize we were going to be spending so much time with Yamashiro and Yui having their conversation, which was really good, but this is full on, this is terror mode. This is, we're going to die in a second mode. This is way scarier though, because like we're in a base, like a secure location, not in our TSFs, and a laser class is close enough that we could visually see it kill a TSF in flight on its way to try and land. That's insane. The fact that they were able to get this close without us knowing, we should have been in our TSFs like 30 minutes ago. Easily. Why did they not tell us? Like, I get maybe like not wanting us to panic, but at the same time, it's so bad that we got this far. It really does make it sound like maybe the collapse was so insane and the data link was just so scrambled that we had, like, literally, even the people here at this base had no idea. Just at all. And that's horrifying. No wonder it's going to crap so quickly. So, yeah. Here we go. It's time to get moving. Oh, I'm so nervous, but I'm also so excited. Like, Not excited, I guess. I want to see what happens next. So, all right. Thank you so much for everyone, especially the patrons and members, for your support. Is wonderful. I don't deserve it, but I'm really grateful for it. Thank you for your patience. I'm really excited to continue this series and all the other series we do. So, I hope you keep coming back. Hope there's more stuff for you to watch that you want to watch, and that, you know, as we finish games, we keep bringing up new ones. So, I appreciate you coming by. And until next video, watch me or see me next. I'll see you there.